People who have dealt with mental illness tell me how it was.
Hi, everyone. Before we begin, I want to remind you that mental health is just as important as physical one. If you have any issues, please seek professional help. My daughter has bipolar disorder. I found out about it when she tried to commit suicide when she was 13. I went into her room in the morning to wake her up for school, and she had several empty blisters of some kind of medication under her pillow. Lucky me, she'd taken drugs inappropriate for this. After seeing the doctors, the psychiatrist said she was bipolar, that she has hallucinations, black spots in the air, and a black woman. Sometimes we'd be having a quiet conversation, and the next second the child would panic, have terror in her eyes, and look over my shoulder. I was always on guard. But one night, our dog woke me up and led me to the bathroom. I got through and opened the door. It was like a horror movie. The floor, the walls, the tub, everything was covered in blood. My daughter had cut her skin all over her body. It was difficult, but she went into remission. Now, after almost 9 years of treatment, there are relapses, but we know what to do in these cases. I had something similar to aphasia a few times. First, I had a severe headache, and then I lost the ability to understand language. I forgot how to speak and form words. I could not read anything. At the same time, the incredibly severe headache was still there. At these moments, I was panic-stricken that I would never be able to communicate again. The doctors found nothing except congenital problems with cranial pressure. I'm still terrified of repeating this hell. In my schizophrenia, delusions and hallucinations do not come to the forefront or develop, but I had all kinds of hallucinations. The olfactory hallucinations were especially infuriating. I thought I and everything around me smelled like rot and shit. I didn't smell it with my nose, but with my brain. Now I'm in remission. I have somatoform dysfunction. Once in a store, I got so dizzy that I fell down and thought I was in an earthquake. I laid down at home and it was like it went away. But slowly, my head began to spin more and more often. I went to all the doctors, but they all said I was healthy. Only after 6 months, I went to another neurologist. He gave me a test for depression and anxiety. The test revealed a high level of anxiety. After evaluating my condition, the doctor diagnosed me with somatoform dysfunction of the autonomic nervous system with a pronounced anxiety syndrome. At that moment when walking, I had to stop every 5-7 meters, otherwise I would fall down. In 2 months after the beginning of therapy, the dizziness completely disappeared. Now I have occasional attacks, but I work with a psychologist, follow a sleep schedule, and do sports. Yeah, somatic disorder is a doozy. My whole body twisted from the pain, I screamed, did not sleep at night, legs, arms barely move to this day. And the most unpleasant thing I've read that people for years cannot to heal. I don't know if my case is considered something scary or not. I have short-term memory loss syndrome. This is when you forget very quickly any information you have just received. This makes it hard for me to navigate in unfamiliar places. Sometimes I forget my usual routes, forget my morning routine. I confuse left and right. It's hard to concentrate on the material I have to learn, and it's hard to talk to people because you forget what they told you, which makes it hard to get into the topic of the conversation. It's annoying that some people sometimes don't realize that thinking and memorizing are not the same thing. When I tell others about my memory problems, they say, "What are my problems if I'm such a smart girl? Don't devalue my problems, please." I had a patient with kinesthetic hallucinations, probably due to addiction, who thought his skin was always oily, complained that he was not allowed to wash 10 times a day, and his clothes were immediately dirty, and he could not wear them. He said he had grease dripping off him and offered to check his forehead because he thought it was greasy and shiny. His skin was fine, of course, but he would only talk about it, would not be persuaded, and when the psychiatrist prescribed treatment, he refused it because he thought it was unnecessary and would not help him. I have bipolar disorder. I'm 26 years old, recently graduated from university. I work as a teacher in a small town. It started out relatively harmless. I had no appetite, lost 16 pounds, didn't want to do anything. I tried not to notice, overcome, and keep myself in control. I thought it would pass soon. A few months later, I went to a psychologist. I was hospitalized straight from there. I was treated, came home. I felt a lot better right away. I found out that my father in the local church asked the parishioners to pray for me because demons had possessed me. In addition, my parents kept saying that there was no need to take pills if everything had passed. I stopped taking medication. Everything seemed to be going well, until one night I did not get the idea that the lion in the zoo in the neighboring city is suffering, sitting in a cage. I immediately packed up and went to free him. It seemed to me that the lion could walk around town and be fed by passersby. I was stopped by a friend I was texting with that night. Anyway, I went back on my meds. I'm definitely fine now. Thanks for watching. Give it a like if you liked it. Write in the comments what creepy story happened to you. Hugs!